You might be asking, well, what is my brand and how do I send it? Next slide. I'm going to take you through 3 actionable steps that you could take today. You could walk out of here and start looking at this and go ahead and get this thing rolling. The first pillar here, or the first stage, is defining your own personal values. What does Nick stand for? What does Steve stand for? What about Michael, George, etc.? What are those personal values? I'm not talking anything professional here. Just what do you care about? Next, draft a statement using those values. Try to find a way to, for those of you that like Excel and all that, concatenate all these words into some kind of meaningful message. Yeah, everyone's like, oh, yeah. And then finally, start communicating. We're going to talk about the different channels, kind of content, and the connections that you make. Next slide. When it comes to personal values, it took me, didn't take me very long actually to define the things that I was like, well, what do I love most? The 5 things that I'm like, this fires me up. I'm someone who loves to have fun. I love to be creative and have a creative space where I can create. I love to create. Leadership has always been a big part of my life, always growing up in team sports and helping bring others along. Teamwork, extremely important. Like I said earlier, turtle on a fence post, right? Then finally, my personal faith. And that's just something that I feel is the foundation of everything. And so these 5 things I looked at and was like, okay, so if I were to sum up who is Nick Charles in a statement, had to make one sentence using these things, what would that be? If you're not sure, by the way, I think there's a site out there, you can Google personal values list, and there's a whole glossary of items to choose from, but really just take the time to think about it. Next slide. What I ended up landing on was this. Who is Nick? Well, I'm someone who wants to have fun, sparking creative, team-oriented results by participating in the growth of others. In other words, I love to help people, and I love to see when helping people results in some kind of creative solution or some kind of meaningful thing that helps others thrive. I love that, and I know you can't do it alone. So these are the kinds of things that I would say, if you were to sum me up in just a quick sentence of who I am, this is me. And the reason that's important is because all of my messaging, the way that I present to you, the way that we converse when we're in LinkedIn messages, the way that we talk on the phone, all of that will usually center right back around here to this. I am this right here, and this is what you're going to get no matter the time of day. Next. Once you kind of have that voice behind you and you have that understanding, well, now how do I start to find the right kind of content that aligns with who I am and what I want to become? And then what channels do I want to look at in order to make that happen? We all know as Salesforce professionals, LinkedIn's obviously a great place to start. Twitter is kind of this unofficial voice of LinkedIn. I kind of think of it as the fun LinkedIn, right? It's a place where people can share more than just, an article, funny or an interesting article. But when you nail down who you are and you nail down that voice, now you're looking at these channels and how can I produce content that aligns with these channels? But not only that, am I making sure that I'm reaching out to the right people? So are you connecting with people that would be of interest to you in this career that you're kind of leaning towards? Are you reaching out to exactly? I just saw David here post. Brooks Johnson is a great example of someone that, yeah, if you don't know the guy, I would definitely connect with him, especially if you're interested in becoming a developer. But you know these people and you got to know where to kind of look. And if you don't know, ask. Completely cool. You can even post it on Twitter. Hey, y'all, I'm interested in learning about a product marketing role. Who's out there that knows anything about this and what do you like about it? And you'll be surprised how many responses you get, people tagging people left and right. It's an amazing ecosystem. So just so grateful for it. But again, leaning back on it, defining your values, drafting up that statement, and then looking at your channels, content, and connections will help you start to communicate that message of who you are.